welcome to RK Medicoz. In this section, we are going to discuss about the second part of our autonomic nervous system, that is sympathetic nervous system. And sympathetic nervous system, in which we are going to see about the receptors and their neurotransmitters. What is the neurotransmitter of the sympathetic nervous system, and what we discussed previously. Basically, we are going to review in 1 minute. Basically, in the parasympathetic nervous system, we discussed their neurotransmitter is acetylcholine. They're working two types of receptor, muscarinic and nicotinic. Same we are going to do here. In the sympathetic nervous system, the neurotransmitter is acetylcholine. No, it is the adrenaline or the norepinephrine or epinephrine. These all are the catecholamines. Basically, catecholamines is the group of hormone which is secreted from what? Adrenal medulla, and it is the basically here adrenaline, and that's why they are called as or epinephrine or the norepinephrine. Basically, a norepinephrine is the main neurotransmitter here, and these all are secreted from the adrenal medulla part of the adrenal gland. Now we are going to see about the what is the norepinephrine doing and what are the different types of receptor present in our sympathetic nervous system, and what are the main types of it, and what are the different types of neurotransmitter, how they are going to work, what are the GPCR pathway activation, how they are working here. Everything we discuss in this. In next part, we are going to discuss about the medicine in the sympathetic nervous system, that is sympathomimetic, because this is a sympathetic nervous system and the agonist drug is providing. So these drugs are also called as sympathomimetic drugs. They are doing mimicry of them. And next term for it, they are coming from the basically the neurotransmitter. What is neurotransmitter here? The neurotransmitter is adrenaline, and we can say like this: there is a epinephrine or what? Norepinephrine. Suppose that the norepinephrine or the adrenaline. So these drugs are also called as adrenergic because they are going to work on the adrenergic receptors, or they are going to work on the sympathetic receptors. And what is the neurotransmitter? What is the receptor name? Is adrenergic receptors. Same as these drugs are also called adrenergic drugs or the adrenergic agonist. What the drugs is going to improve or activate the cells activity, that one is called as agonist, and they are going to antagonist is not going to show the effect on the cells. So we are going to naming like this: the adrenergic agonist, sympathomimetics, or the we can say also like this, the adrenergic antagonist or the sympatholytic drugs. Lytic means lysis. They are going to opposite effect of it. So we are going to start here sympathetic nervous system. Before we are going to start sympathetic nervous system, I want to show you something. You can see here, this is the general mechanism. This is the general mechanism of neurotransmitter synthesis. Neurotransmitter synthesis. What is the general mechanism? How the any neurotransmitter is going to be synthesized? We can see here. Suppose that this is the nerve terminal, or we can say there is a presynaptic nerve terminal. Presynaptic neuron, and suppose that this is the postsynaptic nerve terminal. Now we are going to say inside these nerve terminals the neurotransmitters are filled in the vesicles. This pathway what we discuss now, this is the mechanism which happens in all the types of neurotransmitter synthesis. So we are going to see in a common way for here, and this is the vesicles. Inside it the neurotransmitter is filled, and these neurotransmitters are going to be released from these membranes, and these neurotransmitters, after the release from the presynaptic nerve terminal, they are going to bind on the postsynaptic nerve terminal. So they are working like this. Now we are going to see. Now you tell me, these are called as axon terminals of the presynaptic nerve terminals, and this one is postsynaptic nerve terminal. And we can see here there is a postsynaptic nerve terminals. The receptors are found on it. These are the receptors, different types of receptors, and the calcium channels is always present on the presynaptic nerve terminals. There is a calcium sensitive voltage channels. These are for the entry of calciums. When the depolarization occurs in the presynaptic nerve terminals, it leads to the entry of calcium, and the calcium leads to the vesicles release their content outside. So these vesicles are contractile in nature, and they're going to release their content. They're fusing their membrane with the presynaptic nerve terminals, and after that they release their content in the presynaptic or the synaptic cleft region. So all the neurotransmitter synthesis has happened like this. So we are going to see here synthesis of neurotransmitter in the sympathetic nervous system. In the sympathetic nervous system, how the neurotransmitter is get synthesized, and what is the neurotransmitter of sympathetic nervous system is first. The neurotransmitter of sympathetic nervous system, neurotransmitter is norepinephrine basically, and this norepinephrine we are going to see the synthesis of norepinephrine is it. This is the synthesis of norepinephrine is begins here. How they are going to be synthesized. Suppose that we are going to see like this. We can see here 2 points. Suppose that this is the presynaptic part. Presynaptic neuron, and suppose this one is postsynaptic. There is 2 neurons, postsynaptic neuron. So the presynaptic neuron, inside the presynaptic neuron, just we see in the previous picture, there is a synthesis of the neurotransmitter inside the vesicles here. So we are doing like this same. You can see here, this is the tyrosine is the amino acid here. Tyrosine is the amino acid. This tyrosine amino acid is this tyrosine amino acid is present outside the neuron basically. They are going to enter inside the nerve terminals, and after the entry of this tyrosine inside the nerve terminals, they are going to transform into the levodopa basically, L-dopa or the levodopa. So this tyrosine amino acid is enters at the nerve terminals, and after that they are going to transform into the levodopa, and this levodopa is transformation is further converted into dopamine. After some time, this dopamine are going to enter inside the vesicles. This one is vesicle here. They are entering in the vesicles with a special type of channel, and this channel name is VMAT. This channel name is VMAT2, and we can see the VMAT their name of the VMAT is, that is vesicular monoamine transporter. It is for the, what are the monoamine synthesizes from the what? From the tyrosine. They synthesize of the levodopa, and after that the dopamine, and these all are going to enter inside the vesicles for their packing with the special type of we can say like this, there is a transporter is present, and the transporter name is VMAT2, and that is the vesicular monoamine transporter. We can see this is the for transfer of dopamine what we synthesizes from the tyrosine amino acid. They are going to enter inside the vesicles through this transporter, and where it converted into the norepinephrine. How it convert into norepinephrine we can see here. First, these dopamine are going to enter where? Inside the vesicles. This DA stands for your dopamine. This dopamine are entered inside the vesicles, and after some time this dopamine are converted into norepinephrine, and they are packed inside the vesicles. Now we are going to see some important points here. First point, what is the enzyme play role from the synthesis of tyrosine into the levodopa? We can see the tyrosine is converted into levodopa. The tyrosine gets converted into levodopa in the presence of an enzyme. That one is tyrosine hydroxylase. Tyrosine hydroxylase is the enzyme which is going to convert the tyrosine into the levodopa basically, and the levodopa is converted into dopamine by the dopa decarboxylase enzyme. So there are 2 important enzymes here. The first one is tyrosine hydroxylase, and the tyrosine hydroxylase is the rate limiting enzyme. RLE is here, rate limiting enzyme. That is the rate limiting enzymes. What is means the rate limiting enzymes? Without these enzymes, the tyrosine is not going to convert into levodopa, and so there is a no levodopa formation is occur here, and without levodopa there is a no formation of dopa. So there is a concentration of dopamine is basically decreased, and there is a no formation of norepinephrine. So this enzyme is a synthesis of dopamine is a rate limiting step. They are going to determining the how much the concentration is form of the neurotransmitter here, that is norepinephrine, is determined by what? A special type of enzyme, that is the tyrosine hydroxylase. Now you can see in the next picture what is going on. This dopamine is entry after the entering inside the vesicles. The depolarization is occurs in the presynaptic nerve terminals. From the initials inside the neurons there is a depolarization, hyperpolarization is occur, and the neurons is having depolarized, and this depolarization leads to the entry of calcium channels from the voltage gated calcium channels. From this first diagram, the voltage gated calcium channels is activated after the depolarization of neuron, and this voltage gated calcium channel leads to the entry of calcium plus 2 inside it, and this calcium plus 2 leads to the release of these vesicular contents outside the vesicles in the synaptic cleft. As we see from the common diagram, they are drained all the contents in the synaptic cleft region, and after that this norepinephrine having several fate, they are going to bind somewhere, they are going to metabolize somewhere. And what are the fate of this neurotransmitter which is released in the synaptic cleft? We are going to see here what are the main fate of it. So you can see here these neurotransmitters are released here, and after the release of neurotransmitters, the first fate is it is going to bind on this receptor, either alpha receptor, either beta receptor. For both the receptors there is only one type of neurotransmitter, and that one is norepinephrine. So these are going to bind either beta or either alpha. Either they are reuptake after the breaking down, they are the reuptaketion of, or we can say there is a reuptake of what, norepinephrine, or either the norepinephrine is going in the different tissues of that area. What is the tissues are located in that area, there diffuses, there gets diffuses these neurotransmitters inside these tissues, or either these neurotransmitter are going to be metabolized basically. So there is a several fates. The first one is either they are gets metabolized, either they are going for the diffusion, either they are reuptake, or either they are going to bind to the receptor. So what is the main role here? They are going for the binding to the receptor basically. And what is the next role? Now you tell me. The next role is these, what the neurotransmitter is synthesized here, they are not going to destroy, or they are not going to metabolize basically all the chemical mediators or the neurotransmitter. Out of 100%, the 90% of the neurotransmitters are going to reuptake. They are going to reuptake in the presynaptic nerve terminal, from where they start to release. They already begins there. Out of 100%, the 10% are going for the metabolization and diffusion and binding to the receptor. So this is about the transmitters. Now you tell me, the postsynaptic nerve terminals, what is going on? There is a receptors are present. What the neurotransmitter is released by the presynaptic nerve terminals, these all the chemical mediators are going to bind on the postsynaptic nerve terminals. And there is a different types of receptors of the sympathetic nervous system. Now you know from the initial there are two types of basically receptor, alpha and beta. These alpha and beta receptors are present on the postsynaptic nerve terminals, on which these on these receptors, these chemicals, what the neurotransmitters we are going to synthesize here, what we synthesize, norepinephrine, they are going to bind on these receptors, alpha or either beta. And why the alpha and beta receptors are the different types of receptors, but the neurotransmitter is same. But why this, how these neurotransmitters are selecting the activation of alpha or the beta receptor? On the basis of their concentration, it is depend on the concentration of neurotransmitter basically. The beta receptor, what the beta receptor is present here, we can see a beta receptor, and this one is alpha receptor. This beta and alpha receptor, for the beta receptor, the lower concentration of the neurotransmitter of what, norepinephrine is threshold for it. It means threshold is the minimum requirement of neurotransmitter to perform the action of the beta receptor. It is for their threshold. So what is the threshold? There is a minimum requirement of the neurotransmitter. For the beta receptor, there is a lesser concentration of neurotransmitter is required for their threshold. But in the alpha receptors, what the neurotransmitter are released in the synaptic cleft, they are going to bind. There is a required higher concentration of neurotransmitter for their threshold. So now you tell me which receptor gets activated in the initial stage of the stimulation of sympathetic nervous system. Of course beta, because in the initial stages the less amount of neurotransmitter, and the less amount of neurotransmitter is threshold for the beta receptor. So the beta receptor is activated in the initial stages. And what happened when the sympathetic nervous system is fire spontaneous, or the sympathetic nervous system is fire in a full flown manner, then what happened? The neurotransmitter is more in concentration. When the neurotransmitter is more, the threshold is more for which receptor? That is alpha receptor. So the alpha receptor gets activated. Why we are going to discuss here? Because both the two receptors is having same neurotransmitter. So which neurotransmitter is acting in what time? So they are depending on the threshold, how much amount of neurotransmitter is released there. Hope you understand this. It depends on the concentration of neurotransmitter, what the neurotransmitter concentration is released. And for the beta, there is a lesser amount of neurotransmitter is required. Now we are going to see once again. Before it, we can see here something. Maybe read the precursors of norepinephrine synthesis from the tyrosine amino acid, and the tyrosine is converted into dopa, and dopa is converted into dopamine. Now you can see the rate limiting enzyme first told me, that is the tyrosine hydroxylase. Already told you this is the enzyme which converting the tyrosine into dopa and levodopa. And the rate limiting step, which step is rate limiting step? Where the tyrosine is converting into the levodopa is the main stage or the main step of this reaction. That's why this step is also called as the rate limiting step. Next, which transporter is help in the transmission of the dopamine inside the vesicles? That is VMAT2. And this norepinephrine is released. What the norepinephrine is synthesized inside the vesicles at the nerve terminals, they are going to release and bind to the post-synaptic membrane receptors. They are maybe alpha or maybe beta, already told you. And after this norepinephrine can undergo, what is the fate of these what is the fate of these neurotransmitters? That is the norepinephrine is released in the synaptic cleft of the sympathetic nervous system. The first one is maybe it gets reuptake. What is the amount of it? 90%, or somehow the 10% from them there is a metabolism and diffusion. Diffusion occurs in the nearby tissues where they are located. In that tissues, the sum of amount of this neurotransmitter it gets diffused, and the metabolism by the two enzymes. This neurotransmitter, what the neurotransmitter is synthesized here, the name is norepinephrine, is get metabolized. It means their catabolism is happened by the two enzymes MAO, that is MAO, and COMT. That is MAO is monoamine oxidase. This is the important enzyme here. They are going to break down, same as in the parasympathetic system. There is acetylcholinesterase enzyme which is responsible for the breakdown of acetylcholine. Same here in the sympathetic nervous system, the monoamine oxidase and the carboxy-O-methyltransferase. This is the two enzymes which is responsible for the breakdown of norepinephrine here. So this is important, and that reaction is called a metabolism here, that is catabolism of these enzymes. In next point we can see how they gets reuptake. They reuptake from the presynaptic neuron. We can see everything here. This is the reuptake. First point, this is the metabolism of the neurotransmitter, that is norepinephrine, by the MAO and COMT, that is the monoamine oxidase and the carboxy-O-methyltransferase. And here we can see diffusion in the several tissues. What the tissues around these neurons, they gets diffused there. And the alpha receptor and the beta receptors are the receptor for it. Next section we are going to see the direct acting, or the drug acting on the synthesis of this norepinephrine. What are the drugs are acting, how you can manipulate them, how you can manipulate the synthesis of this norepinephrine. So we are going to see what is the drugs we are going to see here, which are helpful in the synthesis of our norepinephrine. The first, methylated tyrosine, ME, that is the metyrosine. Metyrosine is basically a methylated form of tyrosine. What the amino acid is responsible for the formation of what? Dopamine or the levodopa. That tyrosine gets methylated now, and it is the analogous of that tyrosine. So this is the analogous form of the tyrosine, but they are methylated. They are going to compete with tyrosine for the binding, or they are transfer with the special type of enzyme, that is tyrosine hydroxylase, and they inhibiting the rate limiting enzyme. What we discussed in the first stage, we can see here this tyrosine is converted into dopa basically in the presence of enzyme tyrosine hydroxylase. And now here another type of, we can see the drug is perform action, that is metyrosine. We can see metyrosine, this is the rate limiting enzyme. They are going to inhibit this activity, they are going to inhibit this tyrosine hydroxylase enzyme, and they are not going to convert it into dopa. So it is the inhibitor of it. They are going to inhibit the rate limiting enzyme, and they inhibit the synthesis of it. So in this part we can see where we are going, where we can use these drugs, that is metyrosine, used in the treatment of hypertension. Suppose the patient suffer from the hypertension or the pheochromocytoma. Pheochromocytoma basically the tumor of adrenal gland, and as on the addiction of drug is basically the two main useful treatment of the metyrosine. The first one is in the hypertension case, and in the second one is pheochromocytoma, that is the tumor of adrenal gland. Now you can see the what are the some other drugs we can see here, that is the reserpine, tetrabenazine, deuterabenazine, and the valbenazine. So these are the four drugs: reserpine, tetrabenazine, or the deuterabenazine, and the valbenazine. These are the four drugs which are going to inhibit the VMAT. So now you imagine when the VMAT gets inhibited, then what is not going to enter inside the vesicles? Because the VMAT is the a transporter which is present on the vesicles, and the vesicles VMAT gets inhibited. So the dopamine what we synthesizes outside the vesicles is not going to enter inside it. So we can see in this picture, here is this the list of drug is here, that is reserpine, tetrabenazine, and the deuterabenazine or the valbenazine. We can see these two drugs, that is the deuterabenazine and valbenazine, are the derivatives of the tetrabenazine. We can see they are the derivatives, they are derived from this, that is tetrabenazine. These two drugs are derived from it. So these VMATs gets inhibited. It means this dopamine is not going to enter inside the vesicles, and vesicles is empty of what? Vesicles is empty of what? Neurotransmitter. Which one? Norepinephrine. So these drugs are going to inhibit, and deuterabenazine and valbenazine are the recent derivatives of what? That is tetrabenazine. So this is all about the drugs. What are the drugs? That is reserpine, we can say tetrabenazine, deuterabenazine, and the valbenazine. Now what is the usage of these drugs when we are going to use this different list of drugs? So when we use reserpine, when we use tetrabenazine, what we want to do here, basically we want to VMAT transporter, what the transporter of the dopamine is gets inhibited. And what is the main role here? Suppose that when we are going to give reserpine we are going to give when the patient is having hypertension. So it is used in the treatment of hypertension, or the patient having tardive dyskinesia. It is basically, we can say, side effect of the schizophrenia in the antipsychotic drugs. We discuss about it. What is tardive dyskinesia? In the patient may be suffer from the age of facial muscles will be not properly worked, or the tongue protruding outside. They are the facial muscles also, they are screaming like this, and everything is doing. This tardive dyskinesia having the many more functions is included. We are not going to discuss about it, but for now we have to memorize that the hypertension and tardive dyskinesia, the reserpine drug is used. Next one is tetrabenazine. When we are going to use, they are drug of choice for the Huntington's chorea. The patient suffer from the Huntington's chorea. We can also call this disease is a Michael Jackson disease. In this disease, the patient is moving their hands like this. So it is the Huntington's chorea. In this, tetrabenazine drug is used, and also in the treatment of tics associated with the Tourette syndrome. We discussed already in the second part of the autonomic nervous system. So you can go and watch what is Tourette syndrome. Next, deutetrabenazine and valbenazine. These are the two drugs. Is also drug of choice for the tardive dyskinesia. So these are the four main parts, or the four main drugs, that is basically reserpine, tetrabenazine, deutetrabenazine and the valbenazine. They are used in the hypertension and tardive dyskinesia treatment. Now another drug here, disulfiram. Disulfiram is the blocker of what? Dopamine beta hydroxylase. Till now we didn't discuss, but come here, we can see here. This is the enzyme, that is the dopamine beta hydroxylase. Dopamine beta hydroxylase is the enzyme which is going to block the conversion of dopamine into norepinephrine. So you can imagine, when the conversion of dopamine into norepinephrine is inhibited, then the amount of dopamine is increases inside the vesicles. It means the norepinephrine is not present for the binding to these receptors. So which drug is going to inhibit this, the conversion of dopamine into norepinephrine? That is disulfiram. Next point we can see here, the tricyclic antidepressant drugs, that is TCA, tricyclic antidepressant drug. These are given to the patients in the depression cases, or the SNRI, that is serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors, or the cocaine. These are the working property of these drugs. These drugs are coming again in the central nervous system. We discuss everything later, but for now you have to memorize the TCA or SNRI group of drugs, or the cocaine. These are the three group of drugs, the TCA, the SNRI and the cocaine. They are going to inhibit the reuptake part of the cycle of synthesis of the neurotransmitter. We can see here these neurotransmitters are going to reuptake, for the reuptake, and they gets inhibited. This reuptake pathway gets inhibited by the TCA, SNRI and the cocaine. These three drugs are going to inhibit it. So what is it? TCA, tricyclic antidepressant, serotonin nuclear and the cocaine. These are the drugs which are going to inhibit them. Now we can see first one, norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor drugs. How the cocaine is working here? The cocaine is basically, there increases in the norepinephrine concentration. How? You can see here, when the reuptake of norepinephrine is decreases, they are going to be not reuptake by the presynaptic membrane, so the norepinephrine concentration will be increased here, and it leads to, we can see here, it leads to increase in blood pressure, it leads to increase in arrhythmia inside the patient. How it done by the arrhythmia or the blood pressure we discuss later, but for now you have to memorize the cocaine is increases the norepinephrine level, and the norepinephrine is leads to the increase in blood pressure. How they are going to increase the blood pressure? First we are going to learn where the norepinephrine receptors are present, what are the receptors are doing in that area. So you understand will be how this blood pressure will be increased, how the patient suffer from the arrhythmia when the norepinephrine level will be increased. So everything we'll discuss in the parts where the receptors we are going to discuss in the next topic. So wait for it. They also inhibit, this cocaine are going to inhibit the reuptake. This cocaine is also the drug, they are going to inhibit the reuptake of norepinephrine, and their effect of cocaine is leads to increase in dopamine synthesis, or we can say there's an increase in dopamine level inside the nerve terminals, and it leads to inside the brain D2 receptors stimulation. Suppose that this norepinephrine is not going to reuptake, so there is a what amount is synthesizes inside the presynaptic nerve terminals. There is an increase in dopamine level, and it basically stimulates inside the brain D2 receptors. How it stimulates we discuss later. Now next point, the drug of choice in de-addiction. Suppose that any patient is having addiction of something. Suppose there is a alcohol, or the we can say here is the cocaine. Maybe these all are having addicted. So what is the antidote for it? What is the main preventive method for it? So bromocriptine we are going to give the patient who is addicted for the cocaine, and they are stimulate. What the bromocriptine is going to do, what the D2 receptor is stimulated here. These D2 receptors are get stimulated here is gives similar effect of them. What the cocaine is going to bind to the D2 receptors and leads to the increase in dopamine level. So they are going to same. Bromocriptine is going to bind here and they produces similar action like this and preventing the addiction of cocaine. So what are the side effects of these drugs? What we are going to in the previous section we see the several drugs. Some of them are going to inhibit the synthesis of tyrosine from the tyrosine to the dopa, that is mid-tyrosine. And next part we are going to see the drugs, several drugs which are going to stop or they inhibit the VMAT2 receptors. In some drugs they are going to stop what? That is reuptake of the neurotransmitter. So suppose that the drugs like tricyclic antidepressant, SNRI and cocaine, these are the drugs which are going to inhibit the reuptake of the neurotransmitter. So the neurotransmitter is increased where? In the synapses, because these neurotransmitters are not going to reuptake inside the presynaptic nerve terminals. We can see here. Suppose that here is the release of norepinephrine from here to here, and this norepinephrine is going to inside it with the process, that one is reuptake, and the reuptake gets inhibited. This reuptake gets inhibited by the several drug, that is TCA, SNRI and cocaine. And these drugs are going to, what they do, when they are not going to enter inside it, it means norepinephrine level inside it decreases. It means where they increase, they gets released here and increases their concentration at the synapses. At the synapses their level will be increases, and they showing antidepressant effect. How they are showing antidepressant effect? There is an increase in the level of norepinephrine neurotransmitter at the synapses. They are more available for the binding to these receptors. Where the receptors are present here, these receptors are more susceptible for the binding to norepinephrine and they are producing the antidepressant effect. We are going to discuss later how they are producing effect. After the discussing receptor, you understand everything what is going on here. Next point, next drug is mid-tyrosine, reserpine, tetrabenazine, deutetrabenazine or the valbenazine. These are the 5 drugs which are going to decrease the neurotransmitter because they inhibit the release of neurotransmitter from the presynaptic nerve terminal. So the neurotransmitter is not going to release. So they are not going to release. It means kya? Ki there is a decrease in neurotransmitter. So there is a decrease in neurotransmitter and it leads to, there is a no neurotransmitter, it leads to the patient suffer from the depression, hypotension and the decreased dopamine synthesis also. When the mid-tyrosine gets inhibit the tyrosine conversion into dopamine, and the person having a special type of symptoms is seen, that is Parkinsonism. In this basically the patient suffer from the tremors, rigidity and hypokinesia. So these are the symptoms of Parkinsonism, and they also due to the decrease in the concentration of dopamine here. Why the norepinephrine is decreased leads to these symptoms. What is the main role of sympathetic system? You can think, when the sympathetic system is fire, the patient suffer from the fear, flight, fight. Suppose these patients having depression, it means there is a decrease in neurotransmitter is leads to this. So these are the main criteria. Side effect of these drugs we can also see. When the TCA drugs will be taken, these drugs will leads to side effect, that is antidepressant effect. And here is the depression, hypotension and the Parkinsonism is the side effect of the drugs synthesized from it. So we have to learn by heart what we discussed till now, which drug is going to inhibit which part of the synthesis of neurotransmitter, and this neurotransmitter is very important for us to know about it, which drug is going to inhibit in which part and what is the such a effect of these drugs, and when we are going to use these drugs for the patient, in what cases we give these drugs to the any patient. Maybe the patient suffer from the hypertension, tardive dyskinesia, we already discussed in above. So now you are going to see receptors basic. So in this adrenergic receptors are basically the receptors of the sympathetic nervous system, and these are the several types, basically two, alpha and beta. We can see the adrenergic receptors are the sympathetic receptors. They are divided into two, the alpha receptor and beta receptor. The alpha is going further divided into two parts, the alpha 1 and alpha 2, and the beta 1 is further divided into three, the beta 1, beta 2 and beta 3. These are the receptors of the adrenergic receptors where the sympathetic nervous system is going to work. Suppose that this is the presynaptic neuron and this is the any organ or the postsynaptic part. So these receptors, here the neurotransmitters is released. Now you know these neurotransmitters inside the vesicles, they are released here. So here these receptors are present on the postsynaptic part, and the some receptors are also present in the presynaptic part. So in next section, now in this section we are going to discuss about it, where these receptors are gets located. In the presynaptic part, which type of receptors, in postsynaptic part, which type of receptors are located. So first, all the types of receptor, all the adrenergic receptors, either alpha or the beta receptors, are acting through GPCR. Or GPCR means simple, G protein coupled receptor, serpentine receptor, 7-pass receptor, transmembrane receptors, or they are also called as heptahelical receptor. So two types of receptors basically inside the adrenergic system, the alpha and beta, and all these receptors are working through GPCR. And the GPCR is G protein coupled receptor, or different names. Now you know, I already told you, these are the serpentine receptors, 7-pass receptors, and the heptahelical receptors, or they are the transmembrane protein basically. Now you can see the alpha receptors are going to divide into two parts, as I told you, that is the alpha 1 and alpha 2. Now we have to know where the alpha 1 receptors are located and what is the main function in that region. Suppose that in our blood vessels the alpha 1 receptors are present. So what is the role of this blood, what is the role of alpha 1 receptors in the blood vessels? What they are going to do basically in the blood vessels, maybe they are going to do vasoconstriction or either vasodilation. Either vasoconstriction or vasodilation, same. Suppose that they are present in our, maybe in different parts of our body. Suppose that in a splenic contraction region, in the bladder, or in the different regions. So we are going to see here in what region they gets present. So the alpha 1 receptors are present on the postsynaptic nerve terminals, or the postsynaptic part, and the alpha 2 is present on the presynaptic membrane. The presynaptic neuron is which one? Which neuron which is going to release what? Neurotransmitter. So this is the neuron which is going to release the neurotransmitter, and here is the alpha 2 receptors are present on it. Here is written, mentioned clearly, the alpha 2 receptors are located on the presynaptic membrane. So on the presynaptic membrane these alpha 2 receptors are located, it's fixed. And next point, then where the alpha 1 receptors are located? The alpha 1 receptors are located basically on the different organs of our body. This is the alpha 1 receptors, and this is going to be appear in the different organs or the different parts of our body. Suppose that what is the location, what is the basic location of these alpha 1 receptors, we are going to discuss after 1 minute. Before it, we are going to see how these alpha 1 receptors are working on which type of protein, that is GPCR, G protein coupled receptor. And what is the different types of GPCR, you can go and watch in the 5th part of our pharmacology, that is about receptors in the general pharmacology. We discuss everything, how the GI or the GAs or the GQ types of, or the GQ types of different GPCRs gets activated, and how they gets activated and working. We can see in the alpha 2 receptors the GPCR action is GI inhibitory. We can see in the alpha 1 receptor against GQ. So these are the types, subtypes of our GPCR through which they are acting on the alpha 1 receptors, and in the alpha 2 receptors they are GI inhibitory. What happen in the GI inhibitory is activated through the alpha 2 receptor, and what happen in the alpha 1 receptors when GQ subtypes is activated. Basically GQ subtypes is activated is leads to a production of or increase in the calcium secretion. The calcium production or the secretion is increased inside the cells when the GQ subunit is activated. When the GI subunit is activated, what is happening we are going to see later. But for now we can watch, we are going to see in detail a study about the type 1 or alpha 1 receptor. What are the main types of receptor in the sympathetic nervous system? Alpha and beta. Alpha 2 types. Alpha 1 or alpha 2. Beta 1, beta 2, beta 3. They are the three. So we are going to see first one, alpha 1, where they are located in postsynaptic or presynaptic. In the postsynaptic. From this picture, it is located on postsynaptic in the second part. So alpha 1 receptor is effect on the alpha is due to calcium, because the calcium is produced by the GQ subtype of G protein. GPCR is also called a G protein coupled receptor, is G protein. So where they are located now this is about action, how they are going to act. This is from physiology part. So now we are going to see from the action or their location, examples where they are located. First, they are located on the blood vessels. On the blood vessels, inside the blood vessels, on the membrane they are located. Next point, in the prostatic urethra, in the urethra, prostatic, and the bladder sphincter. They are also present in the sphincter of the bladder, and the radial muscles of the iris, and the GIT, smooth muscles. What the muscles in the GIT are smooth, they get present there. And these are the regions where these alpha 1 receptors are present. So you have to memorize it by heart, where their location is it, where the alpha 1 receptors are present. This is most important here, where their location is present and how they are going to perform. When the sympathetic system is get activated, everything is going to contract basically. So we can see here the first part, and in the sympathetic system, in alpha 1 receptor is going for the contraction. In whole concept, I can say like this: the alpha receptor is going to contract, and the beta is going to basically relax. We can say like this: they are going to relax something. They are going for the relaxation, they are going for the contraction. Not specifically, we are going to make some concept here. So not correct for all the time. So you can memorize like this: in the alpha they are going to contract everything, and in the beta they are going to relax everything. For now you can see here alpha 1 receptor location now clear. And what is the location also? Two more location we can see in the liver and skeletal muscles. Now we are going to see when the alpha receptors are present here. Suppose these norepinephrine are released and they are going to bind to the receptor GPCR, and they get activated GQ subunit. And what happened inside these organs? Suppose that in the blood vessels, the blood vessels are going to constrict. So alpha 1 receptor is responsible for the vasoconstriction inside the blood vessels. In the prostatic urethra and sphincter in the bladder, both are going to be constrict or the contraction inside it. And the radial muscles of iris are going to contract, and they are called as contraction of the iris muscle. It leads to mydriasis in the eye. And next point, in the GIT, the smooth muscles through the GQ subunit, it leads to increase in calcium plus 2. How the calcium is released, you can go and watch in the receptor topic. This calcium gets stimulated. This calcium what are secreted from the GPCR, GQ subunit of the GPCR is released calcium, and this calcium are going to stimulate the calcium dependent potassium channel. This point is important here, that a calcium dependent potassium channel is gets activated or they gets stimulated by the what? Calcium what they released by the smooth muscles of the GIT, and it leads to the activation of another channel, that is potassium channel. And now you imagine this is the cell here, and inside the cells positive charges are present, and the cell starts losing his positive charge outside. It means what? The cell is having entirely inside negative. It means there gets a hyperpolarization. And when the any cell gets a hyperpolarization, it means the cell is in relaxation state. So it's everything is happened here. First what happened inside the GIT, GQ subunit gets activated and the calcium is released. This calcium are going to activate calcium dependent potassium channel. After the activation of potassium channel stimulation, the potassium is going to moving out from the cells. It leads to the hyperpolarization of the cell, and the hyperpolarization of cell is generates the relaxation of the smooth muscle basically. So the smooth muscle is gets relaxed. So this is the important here. Everything is going contract. I already told you this is not through concept. We have in alpha everything is gets contract. here we can see in the GIT they gets relaxed. We have to memorize it. In next we can see in the liver and skeletal muscles. In the liver they are going to perform these. In the liver the alpha 1 receptor is also present, and in skeletal muscle also. So in the liver they are going to promote something that is glycogenolysis. Glycogenolysis is basically what the amount of glycogen is stored in the liver is going to break down. They are going to degenerate it, they are going to disintegrate it, and they produces glucose. What after the glycogenolysis, the glucose amount will be increases in the blood, and this glucose is leads to hyper in amount in blood, and that's why they are called as hyperglycemia. Glycemia means glucose. The glucose amount will be higher in blood. So this will be going to increase when the liver is gets stimulated by what receptor? Alpha 1 receptor. Alpha 1 receptor gets activated. Next, skeletal muscles, what happen? In the skeletal muscles, there is an increase of gluconeogenesis. And now you know gluconeogenesis is the synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrate source. And what is the non-carbohydrate sources? Lactate, glycerol, or the amino acid. These are the non-carbohydrate source from which these glucose are synthesized. So there is a gluconeogenesis and glycogenolysis in the liver and gluconeogenesis in the skeletal muscles. Through which receptor? Alpha 1 receptor. We have to know by heart these things because these are important, and when you don't know about it, you can't memorize all the drugs, where these drugs are good get action and how they get perform their action, and memorizing all the action is not possible to memorize everything. First you have to memorize their examples and what is the main role of these receptors, how they are going to contract or relax in what part of our body. We have to memorize it. So it's not a big deal for memorize for you. Now you are a medical student, so you can learn. Hopefully you learn. Next we can see what is the release of neurotransmitter and how they are going to perform their action. This is the neurotransmitter, that is norepinephrine. It gets released from the vesicles. It is true. They are going to bind either alpha 2 or beta 2 receptors. Alpha 2 is located on the presynaptic nerve terminals and beta 2 is also located on the presynaptic nerve terminals. Now you can see here. Here is the beta 2 and here is the alpha 2. These are the two receptors which is present in the presynaptic nerve terminals. So on the presynaptic nerve terminals, alpha 2 and beta 2. The alpha 2 is stimulating the GI, and the beta 2 is stimulating G stimulatory subtypes. So what is happening in the beta 2 receptors and what is happening to the alpha 2 receptors when these neurotransmitters are going to bind it, and how the action is performed, we are going to see here next point. So in the next stage we can see the concentration of catecholamines, what is released by these vesicles in the nerve terminals or the synaptic cleft. They are determining the receptor types, their concentration, what is the amount of the neurotransmitter is released in that area is determining the where they are going to bind. I already told you the low concentration is responsible for the beta receptors and the higher concentration responsible for the alpha receptors. Doesn't matter alpha 2 or beta 2. You have to memorize the low concentration is responsible for the beta 2 binding and they get stimulated. When the beta is stimulated, the low concentration of neurotransmitter in the initial stage of firing of sympathetic nervous system, and their threshold potential is very low. That's why they are activated on the lower concentration of neurotransmitter. When the higher concentration of neurotransmitter, that is norepinephrine, is present, there is activation of alpha 2 receptors. It gets activated or they get stimulated. Then you can imagine now, suppose that you are sitting now and the normal functioning is happening in our body. Then what is the receptor is activated? Of course beta 2, because beta 2 is normal activity of our body. They are going to fire all the time in the small quantity of this neurotransmitter. Suppose that something happened in our society and you have to go outside from your apartment or the flat. So you can imagine something fired inside our apartment, you have to run from the apartment. So there is sympathetic system is firing and they are firing very fast, and the amount of neurotransmitter in the sympathetic fear fight flight region, the more amount of neurotransmitter is released, and the more amount of neurotransmitter is released at the nerve terminals, it leads to firing of what? Alpha 2 receptor, because alpha 2 receptor are what? They are going to activated when the threshold potential for the neurotransmitter is more. So the large amount of neurotransmitter release and the stimulation of alpha 2 receptor. So the higher concentration is stimulating. Now you tell me, the norepinephrine is decreases when the beta 2 receptor is gets stimulated. Of course, when the norepinephrine amount or the neurotransmitter norepinephrine amount is low, the beta 2 receptor is activated and they release norepinephrine from the vesicles. Same, when the norepinephrine is increases, then alpha 2 receptor is stimulated and they block the release of neurotransmitter. How? We can see here. Suppose now you can imagine here, these are the neurotransmitters released here. In the case of neurotransmitter is released here higher in amount, they are going to bind GI subunit or GI subunit of the G protein on the alpha 2 receptor, and these alpha 2 receptors gets inhibited. So these inhibited receptors are going to, alpha 2 receptors is sending signals to the vesicles and they are not going to released when they are gets inhibited. Suppose same, when the neurotransmitter amount is low, norepinephrine neurotransmitter is low, they are going to bind a stimulatory, and when they are going to bind a stimulatory, they gets activated these vesicles and there is a more neurotransmitter is synthesizes and the release is more neurotransmitter. So these both the system are working opposite manner. When the large amount of neurotransmitter synthesizes, the alpha 2 gets activated and they inhibit the production of neurotransmitter, and here when the low amount of neurotransmitter is synthesized, they are going to stimulate the GS of the beta 2 receptors and they stimulate the synthesis of neurotransmitter inside the nerve terminals. So they both are acting in the opposite way. What is the neurotransmitter? Norepinephrine. We are going to see here, and this type of action, what we can see here, these are the neurotransmitter, this is the organ. Suppose that here is the alpha 2 receptors are present and here is the beta 2, and now you tell me, here is the neurotransmitter amount is secreted, that is the very high in the firing at the very last time. So it gets stimulated and that is the GI subunit, it gets inhibited the alpha 2 receptor, and alpha 2 receptors inhibit the release of neurotransmitter norepinephrine is not gets released from here because the higher dose is already present. Now the neurotransmitter, suppose that there is the less neurotransmitter is present here, this neurotransmitter gets stimulated beta 2 because the threshold is very less, and this beta 2 are going to stimulate it for the synthesis of more production of the neurotransmitter and release it. So these both are going to working in a opposite manner, and when their mechanism is autoreceptor, because the production is more, is leads to inhibition of alpha 2 receptors, and the mechanism is this type of receptors, they stimulate the release and stoppage or the inhibition is done by them. This type of receptors are called as autoreceptors because they are going to perform the both action, they are going to inhibit or stimulate for the production of neurotransmitter. We can see the alpha 2 receptor basically is called as autoreceptor because it is responsible for the because it is automatically control the release of neurotransmitter. What the amount of neurotransmitter is released, it is depend on the alpha 2 receptor, and the higher amount is released, it's going to for the inhibition. So you can see these are called as autoreceptors. The alpha 2 receptors is autoreceptors in the sympathetic nervous system. What is the autoreceptor in parasympathetic nervous system? That is the M2 receptor, that is muscarinic 2, and alpha 2 is in the sympathetic nervous system. And in parasympathetic nervous system, M2 receptor is the autoreceptor, same as in the histaminergic nervous system there is a H3 receptor. In the serotonergic nervous system there is a 5-HT, 5-hydroxytryptamine, one receptor is responsible for them. Now in the presynaptic nerve terminal, what is going on? In the presynaptic nerve terminal, now you imagine there is a effect is decrease in norepinephrine, because when the higher amount is increases, it leads to the activation of alpha 2 receptor and that decreases the norepinephrine synthesis. But there is some exception. The alpha 2 receptor is also present in the postsynaptic part in the somewhere in our body, and that is the blood vessels. Somehow the mainly alpha 2 is present in the presynaptic part, but there is some exception. The alpha 2 is also present in the blood vessels in the some region, and they activating the GQ subunit here. And this GQ subunit, you already know that when the GQ subunit is activated, it leads to the calcium increases in amount, and the calcium leads to vasoconstriction. So this is exception. In next point we can see the clonidine is an agonist drug of the alpha 2 receptor. Suppose that the alpha 2 receptor present where? In the presynaptic nerve tunnels or in the blood vessels. So they are going to increase their activity. These are the agonist drug. So you can see the alpha 2 agonist drug are also called as adrenergic agonist, alpha 2 adrenomimetic drugs, or the alpha 2 adrenergic agonist drugs. They are injected in the any patient body intravenously. We are seeing here one example. So these alpha 2 agonist drugs are injected basically in the any body intravenous route, and suppose that when they are injected in our body, slow infusion, in the slow manner or in the fast infusion, two manners. First we are going to see in the slow infusion, when the clonidine alpha 2 agonist is slowly infused in our body through the intravenous route, they are going to bind on the presynaptic receptor, and they inhibit the synthesis of neurotransmitter, that is norepinephrine, and the blood vessels gets vasodilate. They are not going to contact here. But when the fast infusion of the clonidine, they gets binding of, they leads to the binding of this neurotransmitter, that is norepinephrine, on the postsynaptic nerve terminal. Postsynaptic means on the organ side, and it leads to the contraction, it leads to the vasoconstriction. But we have to memorize it by heart. Clonidine, we are absolute contradiction for it, because it is going to develop a hypertension in our body, severe hypertension, and the patient gets die. So we are going to see these effects, the never going to intravenous route apply for the clonidine in the fast infusion for any person. It is leads to basically vasoconstriction, and we don't want to do it. So in next phase we are going to see another example, that is beta cells of the pancreas. We can see here the beta cells of pancreas in the islets of Langerhans. Basically islets of Langerhans contains several cells of the endocrine parts of the pancreas, beta cells, alpha cells, delta cells, or the PP cells. Here we can see the beta cells basically is GI type of subunit is activated from the GPCR, and GI subunit is leads to, they are also present into the alpha 2. We can see here they are activate the release of insulin is gets decreases, and it leads to hyperglycemia. When the any patient body the amount of insulin is gets decreased, it means the blood glucose is going to increase. Why? The insulin is responsible for the entry of glucose inside the any cell by the lock and key mechanism. So it will gets, when the insulin amount will be lesser in our body synthesized, it means inside the blood the glucose level will be higher. And why the insulin synthesis will be lesser? Suppose that in the pancreas beta cells there is a alpha 2 receptors are present, and the alpha 2 receptors are present in the presynaptic nerve terminals basically, and these presynaptic nerve terminals are going to inhibit itself. So they are going to release of insulin is gets decreases. Now we are going to see next receptor. That one is beta 2 receptor. Beta 2 receptors is basically present in our liver and skeletal muscles. Beta 2 receptor present where? In the liver and skeletal muscles, and they induces glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis. Already we know about from the previous topic. Next we see here GS subunit types it gets activated in the GPCR, that is G protein coupled receptors, and they increases the cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP gets activated, and the increased amount of cyclic AMP leads to hyperglycemic condition and hypoglycemic condition. When it gets hyperglycemic and when it gets hypoglycemic, the hypoglycemic is happened when the increase in synthesis of insulin by the GS subunit, when the beta cells of pancreas is gets activated or they gets stimulated. But in the hyperglycemic case, there is a cyclic AMP leads to glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis. and the patient may suffer from the, once again, the hyperglycemic condition, because there is a most function is hyperglycemia. The patient, any patient is having more severe condition is hypoglycemia, because there is a loss of glucose or there is no glucose in our body. It leads to the hypoglycemic shock and the patient leads to hypoglycemic coma. The patient is in hypoglycemic coma and it is the most severe case. So it is the important here, that is a hyperglycemic net effect of these drugs. There is a, what are the receptors? Alpha 1, alpha 2 and beta 2 receptors are the working on the maintaining the blood glucose level higher. And we can see what happened in the hypoglycemic case. When the any patient is having glucose level will be low, so it is dangerous, already told you, because the patient may goes into the hypoglycemic shock. And what happened when the any patient body go into the hypoglycemia, the patient may suffer from the tremors or the palpitation, their heart gets going fast, or the tremors is happened in the skeletal muscles. So there is a compensatory release of the catecholamines gets released. And what type of catecholamines is released from our body? There is a alpha 1, alpha 2 and beta 2 receptors are gets stimulated, and the catecholamines are basically norepinephrine, and they try to improve, they try to increase something that is called as blood glucose level. So when the any patient suffer from the hypoglycemic condition, so you have to take some biscuits or the glucose to maintain his body, or the any sugar substances, so maintain his body glucose level in the hypoglycemic condition. And they stimulate the receptors alpha 1 or alpha 2 or beta 2. Now you know how they are working in alpha 1 receptors, alpha 2 receptors or the beta 2 receptors. Already told you. In next point we are going to see in detail about the beta receptors here. We can see these beta receptors are 3 types. Already told you, they are working all these beta receptors by the GS subtype, that is GS stimulatory. GS stimulatory means they are going to increase what? Calcium. They are going to increase cyclic AMP, and after that they are going to increase calcium plus 2. So calcium plus 2 is what they are doing? Contraction. It is for till now, hope it will be clear. Now we are going to see 3 types of beta receptors: beta 1, beta 2, beta 3. Where the beta 1 is located in our body? Basically the beta 1 is located in the first important organ, that is heart. And now you told me all the beta receptors are working through GS subtype, and GS subtype is going to activate cyclic AMP, and cyclic AMP is increasing, leads to calcium plus 2. And this beta 1 receptor here, this beta 1 receptor is basically going to acting through GS subtype, and GS subtype is leads to cyclic AMP increase, and the cyclic AMP increase into the calcium. So you can see this cyclic AMP increase leads to phosphorylate the calcium channels, and calcium channels leads to opening of calcium channels, leads to the calcium is moving inside, and it leads to the increase in calcium amount inside the cells, and it leads to the cardiac output increase, heart rate increase, conduction of the heart increase. So everything is increased inside the heart. So the patient inside the parasympathetic condition, the normal function is going to increase the heart rate. When the neurotransmitter is going to bind to the beta 1 receptor, all the activities are going to increase. How? Now you know, in the heart beta 1 receptors is present, GS subunit gets activated from the GPCR receptor, and it activating the increase in cyclic AMP, and after they stimulate the calcium channels and phosphorylation of these calcium channels. Phosphorylation is basically their activation of the calcium channels, and the increase the calcium inside the cell, it will leads to increase in cardiac output, heart rate and conduction. Next, beta 1 receptors is also present in JJ cells of kidney, juxtaglomerular cells. In that cells there is also present of alpha 1 receptor only, and these alpha 1 receptors in that area is working as increase in the renin production, and the renin production is increasing, leads to increase in blood pressure in the kidney. So in the kidney there is a JJ cells is having alpha 1 receptors is present. In the heart there is also alpha 1 receptors are present. In the heart they are going to increase cardiac output, they are going to increase heart rate, they are going to increase conduction. In the kidney they are going to increase renin production, and that leads to increase in blood pressure. Now before we are going to beta 2, we see beta 3 receptors. Beta 3 receptors are basically present in the detrusor muscle, same action. Now you tell me, increase in cyclic AMP leads to relaxation here. Next, adipocytes, they also increased in cyclic AMP, that leads to a phosphorylation of a special type of lipases, that is hormone sensitive lipase, and there leads to lipolysis. The breakdown of lipids is taking place by which type of receptor? Beta 3 receptor, and they are working through what? GS subtypes, increase in calcium, phosphorylate the hormone sensitive lipases. Next we can see the beta 3 receptor or the beta 3 agonist drug is under the development for the treatment of obesity. If any patient is suffer from obesity, for their good news here, they are going to treat in future by the beta 3 agonist drug, because these all the drugs are acting through beta 3, and beta 3 drugs we can see when the adipocyte cells, these adipocyte cells is having increase in cyclic AMP, leads to hormone sensitive lipase activation, and it leads to lipolysis. So the lipolysis, it means the lipid cells gets breakdown and the obesity will be decreased through it. So hope in future it will be several drugs will become for them. Now we are going to see beta 2 receptors, where they are located. Beta 2 receptors, first point in a smooth muscles and second in cardiac and skeletal muscles. So what is it? Beta 2 receptor. We already discussed the beta is having three types: beta 1, beta 2, beta 3. Now we are going to see beta 2 only. Beta 1 and beta 3 already discussed. And now you tell me once again, these all are the GS subunit. It means increase in cyclic AMP, it means increase in calcium. We can see there is increase in cyclic AMP, here also increase in cyclic AMP. First we see cardiac and skeletal muscles. In the cardiac and skeletal muscles, there is activation of beta 2 receptors, which leads to increase in cyclic AMP, and they phosphorylate the calcium channels. There is a phosphorylation of calcium channels, leads to increase in calcium inside these cells, and the calcium leads to contraction of these muscles. Which muscle? Cardiac muscle and skeletal muscle contraction leads to palpitation and tremor. Yes. Palpitation in the heart. We can see palpitation in the heart and the tremors in the skeletal muscles is basic in the severe cases. Now you can see here in the smooth muscles there is a two types of protein basically, that is the MLCPK, that is we can see MLCP, that is myosin light chain phosphatase, that is this protein is get phosphorylated, it get activated, and dephosphorylation of MLCK, that is kinase, myosin light chain kinase, basically this is gets dephosphorylation of these proteins by what? They are done by the cyclic AMP. The activation of cyclic AMP inside the beta 3 receptors in the smooth muscles of our body, it gets phosphorylate the myosin lipase light chain and phosphatase, and the myosin light chain kinase will be dephosphorylated. It means they get deactivated, and there is also third function of it, they gets opening the potassium channel. And now you imagine inside the cells potassium is moving outside, that due to opening of the potassium channel leads to hyperpolarization, and hyperpolarization leads to relaxation of the cell. So the smooth muscle it gets relaxed through the beta 2 receptors. So now you can tell me through the relaxation what happened inside the different types of location. We can see in the blood vessels there is going to vasodilation. In the bronchi they are going to bronchodilation because of opening of potassium channels, because of we can see first phosphorylation of MLCP. We can see again in the uterus they are going to relaxed, in the bronchi they are going to vasodilate, in the blood vessels they are going to vasodilate. So these are the function of opening of potassium channels or the phosphorylation of MLCP. And once again we can see here the glucose metabolism is basically working by the beta 2, and it is produced by hypoglycemic case, glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis. So these are the two cases we already discussed about it. So this is all about the introduction, neurotransmitter and the receptors of the sympathetic nervous system. In the sympathetic nervous system, till now what we discussed, hope you understand, we discussed till now about the neurotransmitter, how they synthesized. After that we are going to discuss what are the drugs which are going to inhibit this neurotransmitter synthesis in the different parts. In last, we are going to discuss about the receptors, that is the adrenergic receptors in the sympathetic system. There may be alpha and beta receptors. The alpha is maybe two types, the alpha 1 and alpha 2, and the beta is three types, beta 1, beta 2, beta 3. We discuss all the locations of these receptors. So you have to memorize now this all the location of these receptors, because in next class we are going to discuss about where these receptors are located and how these drugs are going to perform their action. So before we are going to perform the action of these drugs, we have to know about the where their location is it and how they are going to work, maybe vasodilation, vasoconstriction, what type of receptors, what type of GPCR is working there. So everything we discuss later. For now it's okay. Thank you. See you in next video. Bye bye.